I watched about 35 movies in the month of September, and since it's the beginning of October, I'm going to take a look back at September, and I'm going to list my top 10 favorite first-time watches of the month. So here we go. At number 10, we have 1985's After Hours. I went into this movie completely blind. The only thing I heard about it is that it gets a little insane, so I was like, alright, let's see how insane it gets. And while I wouldn't say it goes crazy, our main character is definitely having one of the roughest nights I've ever seen a character in a movie go through. Like, holy crap. Paul Hackett is just a normal dude. Sometimes he lets his emotions get the better of him, and he plans to meet a girl he met at a coffee shop. Something goes wrong there. He moves to another location. Something goes wrong that makes him go back to the girl's apartment. And just a string of things just keep connecting and building and building. And he is just having one rough night. All he wants to do is go back home, but he just can't seem to do it no matter how hard he tries. This was actually the first Martin Scorsese movie I've ever seen, so you know what? Not too bad. I'll probably have to go check out some of his other stuff. At number 9, we have The Fall Guy from this year. The Fall Guy was such a fun movie. I love Ryan Gosling. I love Emily Blunt. Aaron Taylor Johnson is terrific as this cocky asshole bad guy. The Fall Guy is about a stuntman who has to go on this journey to find the actor he is the stuntman for because he's missing, and then he uncovers a secret or something that has happened with our main actor, and he's like, what the heck's going on? And he gets put in this very troublesome situation while also trying to rebuild his relationship with Emily Blunt, the director of the movie he's being a stuntman for. A lot of romantic elements in it, a lot of good comedic stuff in it, while also having a lot of cool stunts and action in it as well. This movie, I believe, was just made as a love letter for stunt men and women, so gotta respect it in that aspect. I watched the extended version, which came out on Peacock, and it felt like there was a bit extra to it that didn't necessarily need to be there, so I'm wondering if I would have liked it more if I just watched the normal version, not the director's extended cut or whatever it's called. But I had a good time with The Fall Guy. When Ryan Gosling's at a nightclub and he drinks a little something something, the visions he's seeing and all the neon lights and bright lights that are just around the screen, that whole segment where he's hallucinating is so much fun. It was just a good time overall, so that's why it's in the top 10. At number 8, fittingly enough, we have Super 8. I remember seeing about 5 random minutes of this movie when I was younger, probably right as it first came out to like DVD or something, and it always stuck with me a little bit because it's about a group of kids that are trying to make their own movie, and then there's like a weird giant alien monster that's like in their town messing things up. So all these years later, I finally watched it, and it is such a great movie. The cast of kids are so great. They all serve their own little like purpose, and they're all so great at what they do. The monster in this movie is like kind of scary. It's huge, and you don't really get to see all of it until the very end. You see like reflections of it or like shadows, or just see it like tossing dumpsters and things in the air. Really cool environment, and just J.J. Abrams, who directed this, did such a good job on like building this atmosphere, all this tension leading up until the final moments where we come face to face with the creature. The ending kind of isn't my favorite. It's still a nice ending, but I wish something different happened. I don't even know what, but it was still decent. Also, earlier in the movie, when the train crash happens, just all the kids running around as this fiery train of destruction is just raining down on them. Really, really cool. They're all dodging, and trying not to get hit by any of the debris or whatever. The train crash scene is really cool. One of the coolest things I've seen in a while in a movie, so thank you, Super 8. I will be thinking about the train crash for a while. At number 7, we have Inside Out 2. I didn't plan on seeing Inside Out 2 in theaters. I was probably just going to wait for it to go on Disney+, but I was already at the theaters, and the price was discounted because it was already there for a few months. So I was like, why not? $5 to go see Inside Out 2. People are saying it's pretty good. Highest grossing animated movie ever, I think. Did it just pass that? I'm not sure. But that's what I've heard, so might as well check it out. And boy, oh boy, it's worth the hype. I liked it better than the first one. The first half, like reintroducing, joy and anger and all the emotions, I was chilling in the theater watching it, nothing too impressive. But then, of course, when anxiety and envy and ennui get introduced, and embarrassment, the new emotions make this movie so great. And Maya Hawke as Anxiety, especially towards the end when she is just losing it. I love the character of Anxiety so much. Maya Hawke did fantastic. I did not expect Inside Out 2 to stick with me that much. I loved it way more than I thought I would. So if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, I believe it's on Disney Plus right now. Go watch it. It's definitely worth it. At number 6, we might have a surprising one here. We have If, another 2024 movie, and people were either saying this is just plain average or not very good. I just got done watching this. This hit me emotionally. I know it was designed to like try to get you to feel a lot of emotions, and it did its job well. I love Ryan Reynolds. He's just a silly guy in a bunch of silly movies. I don't think I'll ever get tired of Ryan Reynolds. When I was younger, I loved watching Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and this is like somewhat similar, different plots obviously, but like the same idea. All these imaginary friends, shapes and sizes. The actors cast as the imaginary friends are real fun, like Brad Pitt's in there, George Clooney. But this thing did the trick, man. It made me feel so happy, so heartwarming. I just loved almost every minute of it. It's not perfect, obviously, but the fact that going into it, I was like, oh, these people are saying it's not good, so my hopes aren't too high. But then when I got done watching it, I nearly cried. There are several moments towards the end where these imaginary friends are getting reunited with their, like, children that they were with when they were younger. It's just such a nice movie. Sometimes you just need a nice movie. I watch a lot of horror movies and like thrillers and stuff, so it's nice to have a movie like this and, a movie like Inside Out come into my life every now and then. So thank you, If. Absolutely loved it. Our last 2024 movie on the list, I promise. Number 5, we have Beetlejuice. I absolutely loved the first Beetlejuice. I watched it for the first time this year, and I've gone back and watched it a couple times since. It was so damn good, quickly became one of my favorite movies ever. So I was really hyped for Beetlejuice. Most of the reviews I've seen on this, I feel the exact same way. It gets a bit overcomplicated at times. They try to do a little too much. But other than that, this thing is a blast. I loved it, had a great theater experience. Michael Keaton, killing it. Winona Ryder, killing it. Jenna Ortega is a nice character in this universe. She fits in so well. Catherine O'Hara, of course, she is a highlight of this movie. She was a highlight of the first one as well. And surprisingly enough, Willem Dafoe, I thought he was just going to be thrown in there, but he also kind of steals the show too as this like movie star turned detective in the afterlife. He does absolutely fantastic, drinking coffee or not even drinking it. He's like crushing it in his hand as a fun little bit. We get another big, fun, lip-syncing moment in Beetlejuice. In the first one, we had the dinner scene where they're singing Deo and dancing around the table. This time at the end, when they're preparing for a wedding and Beetlejuice and Winona Ryder are just like flying around the room. Oh my god, someone left the cake out in the rain. Big smile on my face the whole time that was on screen. Just had such a great time with it. The effects are all there as well. All the afterlife people look so funky and cool. This was such a great theater experience. If it's still playing in a theater near you, I really recommend you go check it out. At number 4, we have The Shawshank Redemption. Considered one of the greatest movies of all time. I believe on like IMDb or whatever, it's number 1. And you know what? I can't argue with it. It's not my personal favorite of all time, but it is a really, really good movie. It's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a while. I just never got around to it. Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins are absolutely lovely main characters. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and all that time is used to build up our main character's story. And when the end of the movie finally arrives, it is just such a like big moment, and I absolutely loved it. Even just like the smaller build up at the very end, like the last few sequences of the movie, like the last 10 minutes are just, wow, this is just escalating, and I'm absolutely loving it. Great ending. Overall great movie. I just don't have enough good things to say about The Shawshank Redemption. At number 3, we have Good Will Hunting. I wasn't even planning on watching this movie. I just saw it on the Leaving Soon tab of Max, and I was like, well, it's a popular movie, and, it wouldn't hurt to watch it. So before it leaves Max, I'll give it a watch. And you know what? This thing is absolutely emotional to the core. Loved all the characters. It is totally Boston. It's like I'm sitting in a Dunkin' Donuts talking to Ben Affleck himself. Robin Williams, love him to death. R.I.P. Matt Damon. Haven't seen too many Matt Damon movies, but he seems like a chill enough dude. And he, of course, is absolutely fantastic in this. The It's Not Your Fault, Son, that whole bit at the end, amazing. Robin Williams' relationship with Matt Damon in this movie, just like the way it starts, the way it continues throughout the movie. It's just so damn good. Just like Shawshank, where I'm like, there's not enough good things to say. Good Will Hunting is that and a little bit more, just by the way it hit me emotionally. The relationship between Will and his girlfriend, Skylar, just every time they're talking in her dorm or they're out on a date and just having conversations with each other, their whole relationship was great. And then when it gets messy, it's like, it hurts me because I love them as a couple so much. So just, oh, what a great movie. At number 2, we have The Social Network. Sort of the same thing as Good Will Hunting. Wasn't planning on watching this, but it was in the Leaving Soon tab, so I'm like, another popular movie, might as well give it a shot. And oh boy, what an adventure we go on. I love me a really good like biopic type of movie, and this was so interesting. I don't know how much of it is true. Didn't really do any like research or whatever. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, Mark and Eduardo, woohoo, tough battles between friends, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if any of that's true. I'm sure it's got to be somewhat true. But The Social Network, Mark Zuckerberg's little build up to building Facebook, really, really good, really entertaining. Love Andrew Garfield, love Jesse Eisenberg. I know some people find him a bit annoying, but he kind of just plays those types of characters. But I love Jesse Eisenberg. Love the cast, love the characters. The Winklevoss twins have a couple of moments that are really funny. There's like so many elements of different movies that I like crammed into this beautiful movie right here. You know, relationships, the tearing apart of relationships, and a biopic type of movie with like a bit of comedy thrown in there. Really, really interesting movie. Absolutely loved it. Number one might be a big surprise. You know, we got Shawshank, Goodwill, Social Network. My number one favorite first watch of the month of September is The Amazing Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield takes my top 2 spots on this list. The Amazing Spider-Man movies were the only Spider-Man movies I haven't seen. The Amazing Spider-Man was really, really good. I might even like it a little bit more than the first Tobey Maguire one, definitely more than the first Tom Holland one. The more I think about it, I think Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and I'm a big Marvel/superhero movie enjoyer, so this was such an enjoyable watch. I always saw debates on who's the best Spider-Man, never really considered Andrew, because I've only seen him in No Way Home as his version of Spider-Man, so finally getting around to seeing this was amazing. I love his version of Peter Parker, Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Loved her a lot. I love Emma Stone. Her as Gwen Stacy, she absolutely killed it. Also, The Amazing Spider-Man's Uncle Ben and Aunt May, they were good as well, with Uncle Ben being real tough on Peter, but their relationship was still really strong, really enjoyed them. As for the main bad guy, the lizard, Dr. Kirk Connors, not perfect, but still seeing this giant-ass lizard dude run around a school, run around the streets on the bridge, you know, it was still pretty cool to see. Superhero movies can have some silly villains from time to time, and Spider-Man versus a giant lizard? Sign me up. But I think a big reason why The Amazing Spider-Man is number one, my favorite first watch of September 2024, is just because I thought it was going to be a bang average Spider-Man movie. But this really, really beat my expectations. Otherwise, Social Network and Good Will Hunting probably would have been like a tie for number one, but I just loved The Amazing Spider-Man so much. I know it has a lot of haters, but I also know a lot of people really enjoy it. And with that, there is the video. It's over. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Let me know which of these movies you love and which of them you hate. Okay, goodbye.